Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game. Today, a re-review of the U.S.S. Stargazer. This is Captain Picard's first ship, as we'll get into. It's a Constellation class, 4 nacelle, which is cool. Aside from that, nothing super remarkable about it. It's kind of like, it's a Constitution, slightly newer, but in attack wing, it's got basically the same stats. So, what does the Constellation bring, the Stargazer? Well, it's got a tech slot. That's kind of nice. 3143, same stat line as the Constitution class. Named ability here. During the activation phase, you may disable one of your active shields to remove one auxiliary power token from beside your ship. That can be nice. It does lead to letting you do a couple of backups or hard 3 in a row and still get actions. But it comes at this cost, right? You're going to be more susceptible to damage unless you're really stacking on extra shields. I wouldn't really recommend using this named ability. That being said, I like the Hathaway a whole lot more as a named Constellation class. Stargazer's kind of fallen by the wayside here. Yeah, and crew weapon tech for a named ship, only 3 slots. It hurts. Yeah, I think the only time I really like it is in very specific mission play when you're getting auxiliary power from something happening in the mission. Or if you're bringing your own Verteron pulse trap and you want the mission to engage or the fight to engage around that auxiliary power generation, and this will give you a chance to still have actions. But even then, I'd say bring the tiny price. Bring the ship that gives you actions while you have Aux power. All right, I kind of showed off the maneuver dial, but we'll talk about it more here. 2 turns at white, 1 backup, 3 red turns, but a 90 forward firing arc, no rear arc, that kind of hurts it. But with a 180 arc, you can do a fair bit here, and I think that's pretty much all you need to be fairly effective. It limits with torpedoes, but I think slapping a photon torpedo or a quantum torpedo on here, you're still going to be decently effective. Generics down at 20. This is one of the ships that hasn't been repriced, and I think it's a ship that is due for a recosting. I'm kind of racking my brain. I'm not sure what else you could bring. That being said, I would certainly love to see just a new cost or new version of the Stargazer, right? It's one of Picard's ships, and why not? Why not give us a better version of it? We have Captain Picard, and you've seen me talk about this in my Picard Rankum video. If not, please go check that out. It was a lot of fun. But skill 6, 4 cost with talent. Add a crew slot to your upgrade bar. Always nice to get a little bonus crew slot. And then as an action, disable all of your remaining shields and immediately perform an additional green or white maneuver. Very useful in missions. I appreciate it there. Short of that, we've seen an evolution of these bonus maneuvers. See, this is kind of 2 downsides. It's an action and disable shields to get a bonus maneuver. Typically now we're looking at either a trigger or 1 negative effect. It's like after you suffer damage or an in-phase trigger. So this was a start, and I owe it the recognition of being the genesis of a lot of those abilities, things like the Talon, Chakotay, etc. But this is not as good as it should be, and it does not hold up. Plus, it's a Picard, and if you're running this, you're not running other Jean-Luc Picards, and, you probably need to re-examine choices. Picard maneuver, this is a 5-point talent. Action, if you performed a 3, 4, or 5 straight maneuver this round, discard this card and immediately perform an additional 5 straight maneuver. For your troubles, you get an Aux power token, and all attacks against your ship this round are at -4 attack dice. I really like this talent. I've played it a few times. I like it in 1 versus several missions. I think it's a really undervalued talent for Kobayashi Maru. I think that you can rush in. People go, okay, I'm going to target you, but you're going to do so at, well, rule of three would say 3 less dice, but if they're adding any dice, it's a net down. So, yeah, this is a big thing. Aside from that, again, missions where you're trying to achieve a target, being able to do a 5 straight and then another 5 straight, that's a big jump. I as much as I like, say, Incha in those, Picard maneuver, very, very useful as well here. Then we have Tactical Station. Now, this card did get reprinted in the 2017 starter set, so that should tell you it was so good they wanted another version of it. This is 4 points. Add 1 weapon slot to the ship's upgrade bar. When attacking, disable this card. This ship rolls +1 attack die this game round. Or when attacking, discard this card. The ship rolls +2 attack dice this game round. Now, those are one-use effects. You're only getting +1 or +2 dice on one shot. But it's a nice bonus. This was way better before Rule of 3. Even now, if you have a way of re-enabling weapons, a consistent +1 to any attack you make is pretty good. With Sakona, this is a 2-point card. I'm not going to say it's amazing, but there's a time, there's a place, and if you have a good build for it, I think you can really make stuff work for this to be a good piece to make your shots matter more. So I like Tactical Station. I think it's a good card. Secondary Impulse Reactor. This is a 1-point tech. During the activation phase, if you reveal a red maneuver and you have an auxiliary power token beside your ship, you may disable this card to perform that maneuver with no penalty. You still get... basically, your opponent doesn't get to choose the maneuver. So, very, very niche card. But it's 1 point. And in the realm of 1-point cards, there are certainly better options, but I think there's enough times where tech is the slot you have open, whereas, there's good 1-point crew, but do you have a crew slot open? Probably not. Maybe there's a 1-point talent or a 1-point admiral, but do you have those slots open? Probably not. So I like Secondary Impulse Reactor as a filler card. I don't love it, but also the ability to do a come about on top of a come about or a backup and then a backup. It gives you so much maneuver choice, and I think that flexibility can be really key. And then the last card here is Jack Crusher. No, not that new Jack Crusher. No, Beverly's husband before he died. 2-point crew. During the modified defense dice step of the combat phase, you may discard this card and spend an evade to add 2 evades to your roll. So niche. I wish it was 3, but there's enough times where this could be the difference between your ship staying on the map and being taken off. Or maybe it's the difference between suffering critical damage or not. There's a play for him. I don't think it's much. I really think he's mission playable. But I like him enough to say, don't get rid of him. Don't put him in the back of cards to never play. Just, he's a very, very situational card. If you're looking for a defensive mission where it's, you cannot die, period. That's where Jack Crusher has some use. But yeah, it's rare. This pack as a whole, I like it mostly for Picard maneuver. That's the best card here. That's a card that's held up and a card that's really going places. Other than that, a lot of mission good cards. And that can be fun, right? There's something to be said about cards that serve points in a mission. So that's my take. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate your time. And until next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care. Bye.